you've been paying attention to underground rap over the past couple of years, you've definitely heard of Pasto Flocco, who at only 19 years old already has a diverse discography as deep as many of his older peers. You'll be surprised to see that the kid who is a melodic rapper, closely associated with Lil Tecca, has grown up to be a drill rapper. So who is he? How did his sound evolve? And what circumstances led to the Pasto Flocco that we know today? In this video, I'll answer those questions. I'll discuss his upbringing, journey in music, and his discography. The story of Pasto Flocco. Born to Fawn Tapper, Pasto grew up in Far Rockaway, Queens, New York, and as a kid he was very athletic. He participated in a lot of sports, but was particularly good at basketball. Here's how he got started. When Pasto was 7, he would play with his little brother who was 5. They'd run a steal the bacon drill, which for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, is when there's a ball in the middle of the court. They're in the room in this case. They'd each be on one side of the room, and whoever could get the ball and score first would win. Pasto's little brother would whoop him every time, because at the time, Pasto mostly played football and soccer, or at least that was the excuse he gave. After that, Pasto would start playing basketball in the park and eventually developed into a great basketball player. Pasto began playing AAU, amateur ball, at an early age after one of the older guys in the park noticed he was whooping everyone else on the court. He called Pasto's coach's younger brother, who then informed his older brother. He played for the New York Lightning and was ranked as one of the highest players in the state of New York. Here are his stats for one of his games so you get an idea of how good he was. Basketball was a large part of his youth, and it's reflected in the amount of basketball references he has in his music. You can find player names, moves, and other basketball lingo in his lyrics, as well as song names. It's in most of his songs. Other than basketball playing a critical role in his youth, you could say he's a product of Far Rockaway. Where he's from, everyone has hoop dreams at some point, and has a phase where they're rapping. Pasto excelled at both. Unfortunately, Brooklyn gets all the attention, while Far Rock is more or less in the middle of nowhere. There are no sports players or musicians from where he came from. Far Rock is secluded in that way, so Pasto had no one to look up to. Another large part of every child's life is school, and Pasto dreaded it. He hated listening to the teacher's voice all day and would rather be in the studio. Here's a funny experience he had in school. You could see it with his two friends, Sean and J6, who both produced for him, some of his main producers. Pasto was taking a test,
It's 3. Oh, it's not up.
and his Karen teacher starts shouting at him.
Guys, all of you are around Xavier and Rashawn. They're taking a test.
Pasto talks back,
Oh, don't do this right now. We not even at school right now. It's all.
and the Karen says she'll call his mom.
But you're taking a test, so if you want me to grade that accurately, you're going to quietly complete it without distractions.
Alright, sure. Why are you doing that? Like you doing that crazy.
You can step outside and call your mom.
Oh no, not his mom, anyone but his mom. Please.
Oh my. Why are you? I don't like call, but like, you're just being daring. Like, I'm not doing that. You're gonna call my mom and say what? What are you gonna say?
But I wasn't even talking to you. I was talking.
You just say alright. Now you just say you're gonna call my mom. What are you gonna say to her? What are you gonna say to her?
Tavon and Rashawn.
Look, she got crazy.
And
What are you gonna say,
are the one
bro?
who started it.
Yes, bro. Cause you're not doing nothing. You always do that, bro. That shit mad annoying, bro. I hate that shit by now.
We gotta hand it to the teacher because of course, a kid racking up hundreds of thousands of plays on SoundCloud is scared of his mom. Okay, so he didn't like school, but he was creative and would write raps. However, it wasn't how he got to start rapping. When he was 14 years old, he met Lil Tecca through a mutual friend. Later on, after some encouragement from Tecca, Pasto went to Tecca's crib and made his first song on his mic. Like I mentioned before, Pasto used to write just for fun, but without Tecca, he would have never recorded anything. When he recorded that day with Tecca, it was his first time using a mic, FL Studio, and Autotune. Afterwards, Pasto started making music at the school he used to go to in 9th and 10th grade, since every computer had FL on it. That was where he made Family Feud, Beretta, McLovin, a lot of his old songs. Tecca even had some influence when it came to choosing Pasto's rap name. One day, Pasto was on the phone with an old friend of his and Tecca's, Sonny. Benny Money was the original name he came up with, but it was already taken. Him and his friend were on the phone, and he randomly said Pasto and Waka Flocka. He combined it to create Pasto Flocco. This was surprising to me because I assumed it was inspired by A$AP Rocky, whose nickname is Flocco. Okay, so in an interview, he acts like it's the obvious choice. If you just say Pasto and Waka Flocka, come up with Pasto Flocco. Like, I didn't really get that. Let me know if you did. I just think it's kind of random.
I randomly say Pasto, Waka Flocka. See how that go? Mm-hmm. See how it go? Pasto Flocka. The go.
Actually, Tecca first suggested the name Young Pasto, but Pasto wasn't feeling it. Nowadays, Pasto doesn't even really like that name that much. In an interview, he called it a wacky, wannabe, cool type of name. Feels like it doesn't really represent him at all. He didn't change it because when he was little, 14 to 16 years old. It genuinely did, because he just wanted to be cool. Aside from that, Pasto has been there for Tecca's entire career. He feels like that time was special, because the memories him and Tecca made were connected to the art. Soon after his introduction to rapping, Pasto would let go of playing basketball at a high level. He asked himself, are you about to make it big and still have to listen to someone and have practice? Or are you going to run it up and have fun throughout the process? I got tired of 5:30 a.m. workouts since I was 11 to 15 years old. I just lost the love for it, so I followed my true passion. In short, he fell out of love with basketball and decided to fully focus on music. Further along the way, him and Sofego's paths merged. So, quick story time. One day, Pasto was on a cruise to the Bahamas with his mom and his friend Sean. His mom hadn't paid for Wi-Fi yet, and I imagine he was dying to go on his phone. Anyways, his mom finally paid for the Wi-Fi, and he immediately hopped on Instagram. He saw that Sofego was liking his page. He clicked on Fago's page and was like, this guy's mad fire, mad fire. Fago only had 4,000 followers at the time. He liked him so much, he was like, I'm gonna put my big bro Tekka onto him. Only to find out Tech already knew about him. From there, Fago began coming out to New York and they started linking up at the studio. Something I learned about Pasto from one of his interviews that I feel like a lot of people might be able to relate to is his experience in the pandemic, which is difficult for him musically. It took him away from a lot of his friends, his usual work ethic, and his motivation as a result. When he was 15 or 16, he was in the studio like he didn't even have school. But that wasn't the case anymore, even though he literally didn't have school. It made him not even care about what he cared about. One upside to the pandemic was that he got into making beats with his friends J6 and Sean, the same ones from that Karen teacher video. Musically, Pasto draws inspiration from Future, Chris Brown, and Lil Wayne. Some newer rappers he's influenced by are Lil Uzi, of course, made in Tokyo, Nebuchadnezzar, the guy that made Gassed Up, who Pasto said is one of his biggest inspirations. But like any artist, Pasto's background is what makes him. He puts his feelings and everything that goes on in his neighborhood into his music, which makes him more authentic. When he said all the people in my hood are dying, he was referencing his friend Joel, who had just passed away. Pasto also uses his friends' problems so more people can relate. His recording process is pretty interesting. Here are the essentials he needs to record. He needs a blue or green light, the bros for validation of course, Martinelli's, some grass, you know that good broccoli, and maybe even a girl. Candy is cool too, his favorite is Charlie's. Martinelli is an apple cider brand and they even sent him a package. They just sent him boxes of apple juice. Nowadays, he doesn't write lyrics anymore. He strictly freestyles because he thought, and I quote, what if I got invited to Hot 97 and they asked me to freestyle, but I don't know how to? That's valid. Regarding his discography, half of it is him singing and the other half of it is him rapping. If you listen through all the songs, you can see his progression from his first songs as a Tekka clone all the way to a drill rapper. The first official song on Pasto's SoundCloud is Man Down. In it, Pasto and Tekka, two teenagers, are rapping like the Rents do, and it kind of sounds like something Lil TJ would make. There's even a video on YouTube titled Lil TJ Man Down featuring Lil Tekka with 125,000 views, even though it's Pasto's song and most people just believed it, so it just goes to show. Ball Hard is another one of his very early songs. He had a soft voice and you could tell he was still a kid. His voice is almost as deep as like Pop Smokes now, which is kind of crazy. He says he's working hard and he's getting breach, which is just New York slang for money. Family Feud is one of my favorite songs by Pasto. His ability to be vulnerable while rapping about shallow things like his drip and flexing is impressive. He doesn't like to talk because he used to get made fun of. In 7th grade, girls would call him black and ugly. These days, those same girls want to date him for clout and money. He expresses his frustration saying lolly lolly diddy daddy. Top 10 Pasto ad-lib by the way. Three Musketeers, his first project, was released when he was 15. At this point, calling him a Tekka clone wasn't a crazy take, but he was talented enough and close to Tekka of course, so it didn't matter and their voices were undoubtedly different. There are 3 songs, Pull Up, Settle, and Musketeers. It's about those around him doubting him, and the age-old, most popular inspirations as influence to any form of art, girls. Water is one of my favorite songs by Pasto. The girl he desires never gives him a chance to show her his love, but he actually cares about her unlike the other guys around her. She starts playing with them and he loses interest, even though at some point he was crazy for her. World War, one of his biggest singles, is about Pasto's character. You might want to beef with him, but as the title says, he's willing to go to war with you. He's really about it. At this point in his life, music is everything to him. He sings, yeah, reaching for the stars. I wonder what Pasto at 15 would have thought of his current sound. Distinct, as the name of the album implies, marks the point at which Pasto truly formed his own distinct style and sound, separate from Lil Tekka. He was on his own type beats at this time. One of the songs, Xbox, he sings about how girls want to be with him for his money. There are also multiple basketball references, falling on him like Rudy Gay. Defense wins championships. Lil Soy is also a great song. He's rapping at like 1,000,000 words per minute, but he's able to pull it off. Finally, Sean M blew up on TikTok a year after its initial release. On the track, Pasto references the professional WWE wrestler Shawn Michaels, using wordplay around the wrestler's nickname, Heartbreak Kid, who's portrayed as a good-looking guy who's broken the hearts of many girls. The entire song is catchy. He switches flows in every part of the song. Typically, songs have a memorable chorus, but Sean M was different. The part where he goes da-na-na-na-na-na-na wasn't on purpose.
Fuck me
It was just him playing around. Catch Up is another one of those songs where Pasto sounds young as hell, because he is, of course. He's the last real one. Everyone else around him is fake. He's way ahead of kids his age and tells them to catch up, which is fair. His next project, March Madness, another basketball reference, Pasto referring to the famous NCAA tournament, of course. The three standout songs for me were Angelic Takeover, Pop Out featuring Sofego, and my personal favorite, She Know. In Angelic Takeover, he's flexing, Prada and other designer. He's repping Angelic, and you're lucky if you mess with him. Honestly, Pasto out-rapped Tekka in this one, and if you didn't know, Angelic was Lil Tekka's group, not to be confused with his label Galactic. Pasto left the group later when he wasn't cool with Tekka for a short period of time and never rejoined. In Pop Out with Sofego, he raps about the grind. He's trying to get rich. Fago's features are really short, but really good. Their styles perfectly complement each other at this point. Dreams to Reality was Pasto's debut album, and many, including myself, thought he was the next big thing. The best songs were No Hook, Tropical Mango, Lil What You Doing, McLovin, and Switch Up for me. McLovin is one of those songs he made in school, and it's one of the catchiest songs I've ever heard. The song kind of feels like Pasto saying screw you to the world metaphorically. Instead of adding a hook, he just starts moaning, but it's hard, I promise. Lil What You Doing has a Mario Kart type beat, and he snitches on himself, saying he keeps a tech in his locker. In No Hook, Pasto is that guy, getting money and girls, and anyone that has a problem with him is gonna get run down. The album was quite diverse, and even featured a dancehall song, Tropical Mango, which is about his love life, if you could call it that. It's really just about thoughts and money. Energy is one of Pasto's big singles on SoundCloud. It's Pasto and Sofego flexing the benefits that come with their status as popping artists. After this, Pasto started dropping a lot of projects, and not all of them are equal, to be honest. More importantly, he began to mature, musically and just as a person. Voice got a lot deeper, and he felt like rapping on drill beats was the move for him. He started rapping almost exclusively on surf gang beats for a short period of time, and made one of the most unexpected transitions I've ever seen into a drill rapper. It began with a song called 9 Blocks / Pit Stop. It was disturbing the piece .8 EP. My favorite lyric was Personal Thought, Call Her Mascot, and then Kid Cudi, where he sampled Cardi's famed leak Kid Cudi into a drill beat. It blew up, and Pasto decided to run with the drill swag. The songs were all hard, he just became more of a street rapper. He even got a feature from 22G's, a popular drill rapper if you don't know. He used drill beats, but instead of sampling oldies like most drill rappers, he was sampling artists that kids his age, like me and many of his fans were listening to, such as Cardi and Uzi. Talk about knowing your demographic. Disturbing the Peace was released on September 2nd, 2021, and it was a really solid album. It was a hybrid between the quote-unquote old Pasto and the new Pasto, and it was the last appearance of the singing, angelic Pasto. This album had everything. There were songs like Emo, where he was rapping kind of aggressively, and songs like Swisher, where he was more emotional. Meanwhile, he had started a group called GLE, which stands for Ghetto Luxury Entertainment. His next project, GLE Presents #Rome. This project was pretty good, and he was touring with Lucky, opening up for him while he dropped this. March Madness 2, I gotta be honest, when this dropped, I was like, this is garbage, straight trash. Like, I don't even know how this is the same guy that made Dreams to Reality, but someone needs to break his heart, please. I'm begging one of you, 4 million. Over time, a couple of the songs have grown on me, like Blase and BPV. They're actually pretty good. I just wasn't expecting that at all. Walking Glitch, his best recent project in my opinion. He's rapping on Rage, Drill, and Evil Plug. My favorite song is Heart Stop. He's rapping about the drugs he does and his drug habits. He could have bought a chain, but he spent the money on lean instead, pouring up so much walk he doesn't even need a doctor. He's been through a lot already. He's only 18, but he's already been rich, went broke once. So that leads us all to today, where Pasto Flocco is a drill rapper. As a fan of his, I support it because it's not like he's making bad music. He's a really good rapper and still hard. It just sucks to see Pasto box himself in and narrow the amount of listeners he can captivate, like he's done recently, giving up singing entirely. And that's the story of Pasto Flocco, a kid from Far Rockaway, Queens, who became a rapper. I go by Rashad Bashir, and feel free to leave a comment if you have a question, and I'll see you next time.